Both Anthropic and OpenAI have decided to follow unofficial government regulations. And what do I mean by unofficial? Well, unofficial in the sense that we have no idea what the requirements for these regulatory bodies are. We have no idea about the people who are approving or denying the approvals to gain access to this technology. If you're not concerned already about the government trying to regulate AI models, you should be. When was the last time the government passed regulations for something that the regulations both were effective and worked? I'm almost 30 years old, and I can't recall a single instance within my working memory. Maybe a few members of my audience who are older can name them. If you can, please. Please, I'd love to know my government is actually competent to some degree or the other. This regulation smells of incompetency. And the reason I say it smells of incompetency is because right now we have no idea who's approving or denying access to Mythos class models like Mythos, Fable, and GPT 5.6. We have no official rules about who or how these approvals get made. We have no official documentation or appellate process so that the average person can get approval. Right now, it is a two-tiered system. I'm going to assume that Anthropic is exaggerating the model's abilities just for my own sanity. Let's just assume the model's capabilities are being exaggerated. Even then, having a two-tiered system where a select group of people have exclusive access to what can only be described as a technological advantage over your competitors is crazy. Imagine you're building a stock trading bot. I'm using slow, stupid GPT 5.5, and you over there with your GPT 5.6 with a bigger context window and faster inference speed and just a smarter model is able to come up with a trading strategy faster than I could, all because you had a better model. Or we're both using the exact same trading strategies, but you're able to analyze the output of the data because your model is smarter or performs better, and you're able to profit off of that analyzation where I cannot because my model is just not as good. You have an unfair technical advantage. And that's just talking about the technology. That's just talking about it from a technological standpoint. That's not talking about it from a geopolitical standpoint. If I'm in another country and I'm using Claude and ChatGPT and I'm using it to build my business, I immediately lost faith in those two services the second the US government decided to restrict it. What if I've built an application using Fable and my application has been designed, engineered, tweaked, and tuned around this model? Then one day the US government decides Ukrainians or Kazakhs no longer have access to these models because they're national security threats. My business is now in danger. My income is now in danger. That's reason number 2, that this is a terrible idea. Reason number 3 that this is a terrible idea is because of power and control. And I don't mean power and control in the sense that the government will gain power and control over you. I mean power and control in the sense that by restricting these models, the government is putting its foot down and unofficially saying it now controls who has access to information. What do you mean by that, Mr. Lowspec? How can the government control what? 30% of all Google searches that happen right now happen using Google's Gemini 3.5 models. Now, do you really get an option to use AI when doing Google searches? No. But a significant portion of all Google searches that are happening right now today are happening through AI models. By default nowadays, when I'm trying to research a subject, I no longer go to Google. I go on ChatGPT and I ask the question first, and I ask it to cite sources to the links of those sites so I can go back and review it manually if I need to. If the government can restrict these AI models and effectively kneecap these AI providers, what's to stop the government from forcing these providers to restrict the type of information they serve to you? I mean, the AI providers already restrict the type of information it serves to you, right? You try to ask Opus 4.6 how to build a bomb, it has problems with it. Rightfully so. We could argue in the comment section all day long about whether or not restricting access to particular pieces of information is for a public good. I personally believe most information should be out there. If someone wants information bad enough, there's not really anything you can do to stop them. You can make the amount of friction it takes for them to get that information higher, but that's not necessarily going to reduce their ambitions to get what they want. The U.S. government restricting AI is like the Catholic Church restricting translated versions of the Bible to prevent the common man from being able to understand the contents. The Catholic Church banning the Bible wasn't about them keeping the sanctity of the soul like they proclaimed. No, it was about power and control. Because if the average person could read and understand the Bible, they'd have questions for the clergy that was translating and interpreting it to them. Much the same way, if the average person gets access to AI, they're going to have questions, or rather the ability to question the current state of things. They'll have the ability to build applications that might replace frontier software as a service applications right now. You'll have the ability to stroll through large amounts of government data. The most disingenuous parts about the government claim that it's restricting these models for public safety is the fact that we already have cybercrime laws. It's already illegal to hack into public and private systems and extract data. It's already illegal to attempt to extort businesses after you've crypto-locked their shit away. It's already illegal to do most of the things people would be using the AI models like Mythos, Claude, and ChatGPT 5.6 for. The government's not trying to stop people from breaking laws by doing this. It's trying to assert dominance and control over what is going to be the future source of truth. Get that again. Right now, 30 to 40% of all Google searches happen through ChatGPT and Anthropic's AI models. Well, not Google searches, but web searches. You get my intent, right? If you control the models, you now control how people view and access information. That's the part people aren't getting about this. This is more than just the government attempting to control a dangerous model for safety concerns. This is the government attempting to extend its powers in a way it hasn't been extended before. Unregulated, uncontrolled, unmanaged, unaudited, unreasonable. Just straight up unreasonable, right? Basically, if you care anything about the future, you should be concerned. If you care about having freedom in the future, you should be concerned. If you care about free speech, you should be concerned. If you care about building your own business and not having mega corporations have an even bigger unfair advantage over you, you should be concerned. Basically, anytime the government's trying to do something with technology, you should be concerned. Remember, the average senator can barely send an email, and you expect them to set reasonable regulations on advanced technology. Good luck.